In tonight's headlines, the People's Liberation Army launches military drills around Taiwan as a stern warning to separatist acts of independence forces. The Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department launches an investigation after 8 monkeys died in a single day at the Hong Kong Zoo. And welfare experts warn that a reduction in liquor tax could have a negative impact on society and contradict the government's policy of promoting healthy living.
The People's Liberation Army launched blockade drills around Taiwan early this morning in what it said was a stern warning against the separatist acts of independence forces on the island. Captain Li Xi, spokesman for the PLA's Eastern Theater Command, said the drills, dubbed Joint Sword 2024B, tested joint operations capabilities of the Theater Command's troops. A map released by the command indicated Taiwan was encircled at 9 points, 2 on the east coast, 3 on the west coast, 1 to the north, and 3 around smaller nearby islands. All air, land, naval, and rocket forces participated in the drills, with the aircraft carrier Liaoning launching fighter jets from east of Taiwan during the exercise. The Chinese Coast Guard also announced law enforcement patrols around Taiwan, describing this as a lawful action in line with the One China principle. The intense exercise comes after a speech by William Lai, who claimed that the People's Republic cannot represent Taiwan and that they're not subordinate to each other. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning emphasized today that provocation by Taiwan independence forces will surely be met with countermeasures. A Taiwan spokesman said the island's armed forces were on high alert and were monitoring the activities of the PLA. The U.S. has expressed serious concern over the drills. Matthew Miller, spokesman for the U.S. Department of State, urged Beijing to exercise restraint to maintain peace in the Taiwan Strait. The PLA had conducted similar drills earlier this year after Lai's inauguration speech, which Beijing condemned as a confession of independence. Quentin Yak, Cable News.
Eight monkeys were found dead in the Hong Kong Zoological and Botanical Gardens. The Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department will conduct necropsies and laboratory tests immediately to determine the cause of death. The mammals section of the zoo is now temporarily closed for thorough cleaning and disinfection, with only the staff in protective clothing feeding the remaining monkeys in the cages. The 8 dead animals included 1 Brazos monkey, 1 common squirrel monkey, 3 cotton-top tamarins, and 3 white-faced suckers. To ensure safety, the Leisure and Cultural Services Department stated that they will closely monitor the health of other animals in the zoo. This woman said she felt a bit uneasy hearing about the deaths as she had visited the zoo a few times. And despite the monkeys still jumping around today, her child was a little disappointed. It is a bit sad. It's okay for adults, but for the kids, they are more interested in the animals, this man said. Some visitors left immediately after they learned about the tragic incident. Other facilities of the zoo will remain open, with approximately 40 enclosures housing about 158 birds, over 80 mammals, and 21 reptiles. But the monkeys were the fun part, which was enjoyed by most children visiting the zoo. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Flags were lowered to half-mast at government buildings across the country to mourn the death of Wu Bangguo, the former chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. Wu died in Beijing last week at the age of 84 and was cremated in the capital today with full state honors. Flags at Tiananmen Square and the Great Hall of the People were lowered in tribute to his memory. To honor Wu, the national and SAR flags at the government headquarters, government house, central government offices, and all border control points were flown at half-staff. An official obituary praised Wu as an exemplary party member, a steadfast and loyal communist soldier, and an exceptional proletarian revolutionary, statesman, and leader of both the party and the state.
At least 5 foreign chambers of commerce have submitted recommendations for the policy address and talked about the SAR government's efforts on attracting competitive talent and enterprises. Inaki Amate, chairman of the European Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, says the government's scheme lacks diversity.
When you look, we were looking at the numbers of applicants for some of the schemes that the government put forward early this year. I think 90% of the applications were coming from mainland Chinese origin applicants. That to me is not diversification. If we just hire people that speak Chinese or we hire only people from China, then we are going to miss out in the ambition that Hong Kong has to remain one of the most international cities in the world.
However, the Spain native praised Beijing's decision to grant mainland travel permits to permanent residents of other countries living in the SAR.
It would be great if this can be also extended to those visitors that are here for business trips, but that they are not necessarily residents of Hong Kong.
He admits that Hong Kong's image was impacted due to the social unrest and COVID, but focusing on business could make the SAR an international hub.
Since 2019, and then of course with COVID, the image of Hong Kong abroad has deteriorated. In the same way that the image of Europe here has deteriorated, and a lot has to do with the media. I mean, the media has not been helping much.
Are European companies actually concerned about the national security laws?
They have not been feeling that this could impact their businesses. Too much of that in the media is not necessarily going to be helping us to focus into the better news that we need today in order to rebuild the image of Hong Kong.
By inviting businessmen and even officials from Europe to visit Hong Kong in person, to see for themselves to change their impression to the city, Amate said the chamber could play a more significant role in luring business and also talents to Hong Kong. Eugene Ng, Cable News.
Just 2 days before Chief Executive John Lee delivers his policy address, speculation regarding the lowering of tax on alcohol to boost the economy have stirred a debate over the pros and cons of the issue. Industry representatives have urged the administration to consider slashing duties from the current 100% to 20% to stimulate the market and boost sales. Taking to the airwaves, lawmaker Simon Lee, representing the Election Committee constituency, said such tax cuts could boost the liquor trade. Taking the abolition of duty on wine in 2008 as an example, wine consumption has not seen a sharp rise, but the tax cuts have stimulated the wine trade, Lee added. He suggested that the government can consider gradually reducing the tax on spirits over 3 years, allowing for ongoing assessments of social and economic impacts. Currently, liquor with an alcoholic strength of more than 30% is taxed at 100%. But welfare groups have opposed such reductions outright. Regina Ching, Honorary Secretary of the Hong Kong Alliance for Advocacy Against Alcohol, argued that the move would be a step backward, not only increasing the medical and social burden, but also contradicting the government's policy of promoting healthy living. If the tax is lowered, it would definitely encourage more drinking, which will have a negative impact on our health system, society, law enforcement, and productivity, Ching added. Stating further, Ching said it would also lead to domestic violence and ruin family relationships. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Those wounded in the drone attack on the Israeli city of Binyamina were ferried by helicopter to a hospital in Tel Aviv. 4 Israeli soldiers were killed and more than 60 people were wounded when an unmanned aerial vehicle hit an army base near the city, which lies just 65 kilometers south of the Lebanese border. Lebanon-based militia group Hezbollah claimed responsibility for the attack, saying it had targeted the Golani Brigade, an infantry unit of the Israel Defense Forces. The 4 dead soldiers were 19 years old, undergoing infantry training at the base. It is not sure how the drone breached the ultra-secure Israeli air defense system, but the military said it would investigate the attack. Hezbollah said it had fired dozens of rockets towards northern Israel to engage the air defense systems while simultaneously launching a drone swarm.
An Israeli airstrike on a hospital compound in central Gaza has killed at least 4 people. The strike near the Al-Aqsa hospital, where displaced Palestinians were sheltering in the hospital's grounds, sent flames sweeping through a packed camp, leaving dozens more with severe burns. The death toll is expected to rise further, as several wounded are in critical conditions, according to local health authorities. It was the 7th time since Israel invaded the Gaza Strip more than a year ago, and the medical facility has been targeted. The Israeli military confirmed the attack, claiming they were targeting the Palestinian group Hamas, which was using the hospital as a command and control center. Desperate Palestinians often sought refuge near schools and hospitals, hoping that such facilities are a safe zone and will not be targeted. The 136th session of China Import and Export Fair, popularly known as the Canton Fair, begins in Guangzhou tomorrow. More than 140,000 overseas buyers from 209 countries and regions have pre-registered for the event, reflecting a 24% increase. Adding to this positive trend, 223 of the world's top 250 global retailers are expected to attend. Benchmarking Global Trade, the biannual event, which features the latest in electronics, textiles, home decor, kitchenware, industrial manufacturing, and much more, has attracted buyers from all over the world to China. Held at the China Import and Export Fair Complex in the industrial heart of southern China, the exhibition area covers a total of 1.55 million square meters. Over 30,000 companies are participating in the on-site exhibition, aiming to strengthen international trade relations and promote economic cooperation. The spring and autumn editions of the Canton Fair have been held in Guangzhou each year since 1957. Quentin Yang, Cable News.